Welcome to Curriculum Writing 2020. Thank you to the 20 plus curriculum writing teams who have volunteered their time to revise curriculum. We were unable last summer to gather together to write curriculum due to budgetary constraints, and although this summer we're not together in person and the teams will be revising remotely, we are together in spirit and in our intended outcome. So we like to keep things interesting during Curriculum Writing Week. Some of you may remember the summer during curriculum writing that the roof blew off of Seneca. And how many people will really be able to say that they revised curriculum during a pandemic? And we won't have to tell you where the faculty lounge is so you can put your lunch, because you've got that. And we don't have to give you any recommendations on where to get a cup of coffee, because you've got that. But some things haven't changed, like working alongside great people, like our UbD specialists, Kim Condorso, Suzanne Berner, and Megan Laffey, as well as our senior supervisors, David Mayer, Dave New, Shannon Bretz, Craig Bookwalter, Gary Noecker, Larry Stripmatter, and Amanda Castle. And they will be guiding you through the Curriculum Writing Week with expectations and some more details. So once again, thank you for agreeing to revise curriculum during the summer and beyond. And now I will pass you over to UbD specialist Kim Condorso. Thanks.
Hi everybody, my name is Kim Condorso and I'm a chemistry teacher and UbD specialist from Lenape. On behalf of the UbD specialists, myself, Suzanne Berner, and Megan Laffey, we would like to welcome you to yet another unprecedented event this school year known as virtual curriculum writing. To follow suit with just about everything else this school year, curriculum writing is going to feel a bit different than it has in the past. Heather Zanakis, the senior supervisors, and the UbD specialists have been working together to create a virtual setting that mimics as close to possible our previous methods that we've utilized during Curriculum Writing Week. We want to make this virtual writing process flow as smoothly as possible using an approach that fosters collaboration. As in the past, the UbD specialists have been assigned about 7 or 8 different courses that they'll be overseeing this year. This year, I'll be working with the following courses: concert band, music tech, chemistry, individual studies, health 3-4 self-contained, US History 2, and US History 2 self-contained. During this video, you will find out which courses the other UbD specialists will be working with. We'd like to utilize this time during this welcome video to go over with you what curriculum writing is going to look like this year. To accomplish that, each specialist will be going over with you the various virtual methods that we'll be using this year to provide you with the necessary UbD training, how to create and save your actual document, and how we're going to be communicating with each other. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so there's this really cool virtual online tool that you may have heard of called Google Classroom. So we have a Google Classroom, and we would like you to join our Google Classroom. Here is the join code for our Google Classroom. So it's UbD Curriculum Writing. There is the code. If you need to pause the video to jot that down, you can. To join on to the Google Classroom as I go through this here, feel free. So the Google Classroom that we're going to be using is going to be used maybe a little bit differently than you've used it over the past couple months. I want you to think of this Google Classroom as kind of like a one-stop shop resource hub. So this classroom is not going to be used for you to actually submit your curriculum. You're not submitting anything through this. So there's not going to be any due dates or anything like that. In fact, there's really nothing useful for you here on the stream itself. So what we would like you to do is to go over here to the classwork tab, because that's where all of our resources are located. So when we go over here to the classwork tab, you'll see that there's just basically materials that are listed here. Again, these are not assignments, just resources. So we kind of have this in a chronological order here, where first just the overview of virtual curriculum writing. If you would like to watch this welcome video time and time again, we have another copy of it here. But there's 2 important documents for you to start with as we begin this process. So there's a read before you write and a watch before you write. So the read before you write document, when you click on that and when you open this document, I already have it opened up here. This is going to communicate some important information that we would normally be sharing with you if we were standing in the cafeteria over at Seneca. So this is kind of some important information that you want to know before you get started. So the one thing is just about collaboration, that we really don't want you to be taking a divide and conquer approach to this. I know everybody being in different places makes it a little bit more challenging to collaborate, but I think we've come up with a way that we can definitely make it happen. So we don't want to do the divide and conquer. We want it to be a collaborative effort, because the best curriculum come out from collaboration with the whole process. So you're going to be utilizing a Google Chat and Google Meets, which some of the other UBD specialists are going to talk to you about. So also some other things I just wanted to mention on here is the whole revision process. The idea of the revision process is not just to take the old version and just change a couple words on it. So, and another UBD specialist is going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But we want to create a new, fresh document. There are things that have changed in the curriculum writing process over the years. So depending on whether you've written before, whether it was a long time ago, or more recently, there are some new things that we are going to be doing this year. So some other things you'll find on this document are things like, how many essential questions can I have? How many enduring understandings should I have? Formatting, Arial 11 and lowercase, uppercase. And there is some new things that I do want to point out with the template this year. Suzanne's going to be talking to you a little bit more about the template as well, but since it's mentioned here in this document, I'm just going to kind of throw this out. And this is, especially if you've written before, this will be something new that you may not have done. Just to encourage alignment, we want to make sure that our stages are all aligned with each other. We're going to be asking you to indicate the strand for the standard next to each knowledge and skill statement to make sure that the knowledge and skills are aligned with all of the state standards. So you're going to be putting the actual numbers of the standards next to each knowledge and skill statement. So that's maybe something new that you might not have done before. And in addition, in the learning plan in stage 3, we have typically put A, M, and T in parentheses at the end of each statement in the learning plan, which we are going to continue to do, but we would also like you to put the EU number as well. And when you go to the template, let me just show you because I have it up on my screen as well here. Here is what the template is going to look like. So you're basically just going to be inserting all of your information directly into this Google Doc. And it kind of gives you some hints and clues along the way. We gave you some links directly to the standards, which, by the way, have been updated very recently, except for math and English. All other standards have been updated, like literally in the last 2 weeks. So they're hot off the press. So you're going to just insert your enduring understandings, essential questions here. When you get down to the knowledge and skills, this is where there'll be a little reminder about putting the standard number at the end of each statement in the knowledge and the skills section. And then the same thing down here in the learning plan. There is an example given to you right in the template. Feel free to delete that once you look at it. But this is what it should look like. You'll have a statement, and then you'll tell me, if I'm your UBD specialist, whatever, you'll say whether it's A, M, or T, and then you'll put the EU number in parentheses after it. So that's kind of some new things. So if you take a look through the rest of this, read before you write document, I think that'll answer maybe a lot of questions that you have to get started. Okay, so some other things that you'll see on this Google Classroom is the watch before you write. So again, if you've done curriculum writing in the past, you're used to us doing basically some training before everybody gets started. And maybe if you're a new writer, you would definitely need to have some training in UBD. So depending on what your experience is, we're going to be providing several different videos for you to watch ahead of time. So ideally, it would be great if these videos could be viewed before curriculum writing begins on Wednesday, so that once Wednesday comes, everybody can kind of get together and get started on the brainstorming process. So it'll be indicated to you here which videos would be best for new writers versus the videos that would be better for veteran writers. So we would like you to take a look at the various videos. Again, even if you've written before, it's good to just have a refresher because maybe it's been a while. I mean, there was no curriculum even written last year. So the earliest you would have done it is 2 years ago, and it's amazing how much we might forget about some little details. So taking a look at these videos, they're not all up here at the moment, but they will be by the time you're actually viewing this. So take a look at that. So that should give you a lot of the background that you're going to need to get started. And then we've got just some kind of important documents here that you'll want to reference. Now, there is a copy of the template here, but there will also be a copy of the template in the shared drive that you're going to be using. Also, there's a document that lists the specialist that is assigned to each content area. This third document will be one you'll be interested in because this will have the timeline as to when various units are due from basically now all the way through January. So curriculum writing is not just a 1-week process and then done. So this timeline will explain how that process goes, and it basically carries from now all the way through January. Once you are done with your unit, with each unit, you want to go to this final curriculum revision checklist. So this is going to be an important one to make sure that you kind of go through first and make sure that you've checked off everything that's on this checklist before you kind of turn it over to us to take a look at. So and you might even want to look at that ahead of time so that you kind of know what to look for even as you're writing. Okay, so as for the rest of the documents that are on here, all the rest of this is basically reading materials. Again, depending on what your experience is with UbD, there is endless reading material for anybody that wants to know all the ins and outs of UbD. So there's just some overview of UbD materials here, just like what is backwards design? Why are we doing things backwards? Typically, people don't like to do things backwards, but when it comes to curriculum writing, backwards is good. So this kind of explains all of the theory behind that. And then if you're having trouble with any one of the particular stages, we broke down the rest of the Google Classroom by stage. So let's say you're having trouble coming up with some ideas for enduring understandings. You can go here, click right on this document, and there'll be some sample enduring understandings by subject. There'll be sample essential questions by subject. There's also a checklist for each individual stage. So if you're having trouble or need some inspiration maybe with each particular stage, then you can take a look through the rest of the document here. So feel free to use this, utilize it. I think it'll help you along the way. And of course, we too will be helping as the process goes on, and you can reach out to us through the entire curriculum writing week. So at this point, I would like to pass it over to Suzanne Berner, who's going to talk to you about the shared drive and a little bit more information about the template.
Hello writers, my name is Suzanne Berner, and I am going to be working with the courses writing the individual studies, English 2, French 1, Italian 1, German 1, Latin 1, Spanish 1, and Spanish Mod 1 courses this summer. I just wanted to share with you a couple of the resources that have been created to help you through this process. The first is a shared team drive. When you log into Google and click on the shared drive link on your left, you will notice that there is a newly created team drive that is titled Virtual Curriculum Writing 2020. And all writers, senior supervisors, and UbD specialists have access to this drive to help streamline the process, give feedback, and just kind of work through the units together. The second is a template that will be waiting for you. When you click into that drive, you'll notice there's a folder for each course being written or revised. And within that folder is a blank template for you to follow for your first unit. It's designed to really truly kind of take you through the stages of UBD as it is intended. So looking at stage 1 and then 2 and then 3, and has very helpful links to state standards along with some tips for aligning those stages and making sure that what you're creating actually connects ultimately back to a purpose and a standard and such. Please keep in mind that many of these courses were written 7 or 8 years ago, maybe even longer, and we were very newly down the UBD path at that time. So some of the old units you may be following as models, you may look at and think, this really isn't very much UBD. And so that may be the case. But what we're asking you to do is really kind of look at your courses with fresh eyes and take a look at revision as more than just maybe swapping out materials or fixing little details, but in really, really, truly looking at the heart of your course and what it is that you feel should be there, and what matters to students. I would like to now pass it over to Megan Laffey, who is going to talk to you about using the course chat room.
Thank you, Suzanne. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Laffey, and I am the third and final UBD specialist that will be working with you through our first virtual curriculum writing process. I will be in charge of giving feedback to the following subject areas: foundations of art, foods and nutrition, fashion and clothing, consumer math, geometry, business communication, and business law. Right? I'm also going to show you in this video how we will be communicating with each other in an effort not to fill up everyone's emails and get mixed up with, which versions of the units are the most up to date and which ones have feedback on them and all that. We're going to be utilizing Google Chat. So I'm going to take you on a little tour to show you what that's all about. Okay, so when you open up Google, you need to be signed in to your LRHSD account, and then you're going to go up to the top right, like waffle looking thing. All right, and if you do not see the Google Chat feature here, you might need to just scroll down a little bit until you see it. All right, we are not doing the Hangout chat. We are doing just the regular Google Chat. It has the @ symbol. All right, now when you go into that chat room, you will already have been invited into the content area over here on the left that you will be writing for. All right, notice that I have one new unread message there under my UBD specialist senior supervisor chat. All right, so you can play around with the notifications a little bit. I personally like to turn all of my sounds off. And I am more of a visual notification person. So I believe these little red numbers will always come up, but it's up to you whether you want, a ding every time you get a message or an email notification, that kind of thing. So if you do want to adjust your notification settings, you'll go up to settings. All right, this is where you can turn on or off the push notifications. Looks like you also have the feature of getting the chat notifications on your phone, emails if you have not read a message. So I have all of those things off because my plan is to just be at my computer, and I like to keep the chat open all the time in a tab up at the top. And that way it's kind of like reminding me to constantly go back and refer to it during our curriculum writing time. So just to let you know some basics about the Google Chat, all of these chat rooms over here on the left, right? And I have access to all of them as the UBD specialist, but you will only see the 1 or 2 courses that you are writing. But just to let you know that all 3 UBD specialists are a member of each chat room. So even though you are assigned to one main UBD specialist, all 3 of us do have access to it. That way, in case, one of us is not sure about something, the other 2 could chime in. The other thing you should know is that your senior supervisor is also a member of your chat room. You also have the ability to start new threads, like here at the bottom. So let's say, maybe this first conversation was us going back and forth about, Unit 1. Maybe we had a question about an enduring understanding or something. And then, you can either just keep that just as a rolling thread, or you can start a brand new thread if you want to switch the conversation now to Unit 2. That part really doesn't matter. You still will have access to the original thread if you start a new thread. It's just more of like organization. I believe after there are, several messages, they will kind of condense a little bit just to save room on the screen. But you do still have access to them. You can, expand it to make it bigger. Over here on the left, there's also options to have individual conversations with people. So let's say, maybe your UBD specialist gave you some feedback and you still, maybe there's one member of your group that's still a little confused on it. If there's something that you want to ask one-on-one and not to your whole curriculum team and to your senior supervisor, you do have the ability to come up here at the top and, search people. I believe it will only search LRHSD emails. And then you can also, chat back and forth one-on-one. So I kind of started a sample chat between me and another specialist, Kim. And I want you to see that there's a couple different things you can do. You can actually click a Google Drive link. So let's say I'm done with Unit 1 and I'm ready to submit that, right? Your team has worked together. You came up with, your best Unit 1 that you think you did, and then you're ready to send it in. So, I'm just using this as a sample. This is like an old art curriculum. So let's say I want to say that. So this will actually link it right to your Google Drive. So you can actually access the team drive, right? If you go up here to shared drives, you can actually scroll down and go to the virtual curriculum 2020 drive. And then, let's say you are that art class. All right. Obviously, there's nothing in here yet because we haven't started. But once you and your team put your Unit 1 unit in there, then you actually can attach it right into the Google Chat. All right. You do have to hit send. You have to hit that little blue arrow at the bottom. Because we are all in the team drive together, I don't think you're going to see this message. This is just because the art curriculum I'm sharing was not previously, Kim was not previously given access to it. So I don't think you are going to see that screen. But if you do, you're just going to have to, give the people in your group access to it if they're not already. All right, so here is how we foresee the feedback and communication working. And just keep in mind, this is our first time doing this, so we may need to be patient as we work out the best way of communicating. So let's say you're in your team drive and, you're in chemistry and you and your team have already submitted Unit 1 in chemistry. The UbD specialists and your senior supervisors are in this team drive, so we will have access to it. But keep in mind that the specialists and the supervisors are not just in charge of your course, right? Each specialist has 7 or 8 courses, and the senior soups, have like 4 or 5 each, I think. So I think it's a good idea that once you put your unit in the shared team drive, we want you to also in the chat go down to that Google Drive link and search in that shared drive, right? Find that virtual curriculum writing, click your unit and submit it, just like I just did with that art one. All right, and that way it's kind of also creating a timeline and a back and forth of feedback being given. All right, so once you have submitted your Unit 1 on the team drive and in the Google chat, then the supervisors and the specialists will do the same thing with our feedback. So we will, digitally put feedback onto the unit, which will be accessible from the team drive, but we will also upload it to the Google chat. So that way you have that timeline of, here's Unit 1 being submitted, here's the Unit 1 feedback, and vice versa. So we can kind of continue with the Google chat throughout the whole curriculum writing process, not just this week. All right. The other nice thing is, let's say you are in, one of your, curriculums here, and you are ready to have a Google Meet with your team or with the specialist or the supervisor. All right. You can actually click that third icon there, and it'll create a unique Google Meet link just for the people in your group. Okay. It's up to you if you want to keep using the same link or if you want to just create a new one so that it's at the bottom of the thread. That's up to you. But I just wanted you to know that you can attach documents back and forth to send and receive feedback. And then you can also click the Google Meet link right through that chat as well. All right. So we hope that using the Google chat, will kind of just limit the amount of emails because, it gets confusing with, back and forth and the different versions. But we do hope that you will still use email if you have not heard from a UbD specialist or if, you have a specific question for a senior supervisor. So while the UbD specialist will be looking at these chats regularly, the senior supervisors they're not required to be looking at these chats all the time. They do have access to it if they need to scroll back and see what's happening, right? But they've got other stuff going on too. So if you do need, immediate feedback, if you feel like a UbD specialist, it's been an hour and nobody's gotten back to you, feel free to shoot us an email. Maybe we're in a Google Meet with another course or something like that. So, of course, email is still an option if you need, to remind us to get back to you. All right, but I hope, that makes the communication a little bit more streamlined. And then just to wrap up what my other specialist said, we've got the Google Classroom, right, with all of the resources and the video links. We've got the team drive of where you're going to be submitting your units. And then we also have the Google chat for the back and forth of sending units and receiving feedback. All right, good luck, everyone. Thank you for being patient with us while we figure this stuff out virtually.